Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Stop the Internet Podcast. I am your host, Kelly.
And I'm Tricia.
Today, we are doing another Am I the Asshole? Specific edition, family drama edition, because we love to stir the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do a fact?
Sure.
Do you have anything on the top of your mind?
I was thinking about it this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, I need to come prepared this time. It's not really like a personality or personal fact, really, but I used to be really into reading, as most people were before smartphones, and I want to get back into it. And I read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and
I've never heard of it.
It's really good. And so I read that, and I couldn't put it down, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I still love reading, and like I want to get back into it. So I just got a library card.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I'm a library girly.
Wait, I love that. That's so fun.
And you can get an app called Libby and use your library card on there. And you can like read like ebooks or rent like audiobooks and, like listen as if it's a podcast or,
That's so fun.
Yeah, and all for free. Because I was like, I'm going to be spending so much money now that I'm going to be a reading girl.
Yeah.
And I have to like buy all these books and stuff. But then I'm like, wait, there's public libraries at my disposal.
Libraries are so slept on.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I also want to get back into reading.
Yeah.
I still have my library card from when I was like 5.
So my library says you have to renew every 3 years.
Oh.
Because I thought I still had one too, but
I
had to go and get a new one. But I will say the atmosphere of my library was magical. Like I'm happy that I went in person to get the card because it was just, I need to start going more.
Did you stay there and read?
No, I had errands I had to run, but I will be back.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, this is inspiring me. I was on TikTok, of course, and I heard a story. It was like an ancient like Greek mythology parable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm forgetting the guy's name, but it's about the guy who like rolls a boulder up the hill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you learn it in AP English in high school and like some college classes or whatever. But I just realized that I didn't appreciate all of those stories when I was 16 in AP English class in high school. And I feel like even in college, you're just like stressed and like there was part of me that didn't care about it. Mm-hmm. And now I think I wish I spent more time actually reading the stories and like analyzing what they meant outside of like just the one assignment that we had to do for the book or whatever. Right. So I was thinking in the past like month that I want to read Greek mythology or like those, I guess it's not all Greek mythology, but like those classic stories and just reanalyze them for myself, like the allegory of the cave and like that one about the guy pushing the boulder. And then I guess, are those even Greek mythology? I don't know.
Yeah,
they are.
The allegory of the cave is Plato, so I don't think that's Greek mythology.
That's philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up that guy's name.
That would be so, like, that would just be so good for you. Like, that specifically, like, Greek mythology and philosophy and everything, to get back into that.
Yeah. Because I feel like now it means something. Like, you have more life experience when you're older that you can be like, oh, you know what, that makes sense. Because when you're in school, it just doesn't hit like that.
Yes.
But then in the real world, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And it's just like more education.
Yeah.
Education's never a bad thing.
And I love reading fiction. So one of my friends is really into reading and he never allows himself to read fiction because he's like, when I read, I want to learn. And I'm like, but nonfiction is so boring. Like reading about like money, I'm like, it's so important, but it is so boring. And I just want to read fiction and like feel something. So I feel like the philosophy or like Greek mythology is a good stepping stone because yes, it is fiction, but it teaches you important lessons. And I feel like the lesson is what matters.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, maybe that'll inspire me to get back into it.
Yeah. You could also do like memoirs too.
Yes. Okay. I read Holly Madison's book. Do you know Holly Madison?
No.
She was Hugh Hefner's girlfriend on The Girls Next Door.
I think I heard about
her. She's the most famous one, probably. Yeah. So interesting. The book was like, I read it in a day. It was so interesting. It was like watching E! Network. It was so good. You can borrow it if you want.
Do you remember Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly?
Yes.
She has a memoir that like I feel like she released it a while ago, but people are still talking about it.
Yeah.
And it has like one of the highest ratings like
of
like current memoirs. I don't know, but it's called like I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Yeah.
People love it.
I want to read that one actually. Yeah. That's so interesting.
I read like a little synopsis on it and I was like, because sometimes I don't like to read what it's about, or even movies I don't like to watch trailers.
Yeah.
If a movie is like critically acclaimed or whatever, there's like a lot of hype around it, then I'm like, okay, it's got to be good, so I want to watch it, but I don't want to know what it's about. I just think it's a better experience. You just have no idea what to expect. But anyways, I did read a synopsis on her memoir, and her mom actually was like
crazy.
Yes, which I didn't know. I thought, like the title's probably just like,
clickbait.
Exactly. And it like changed the trajectory of her life, so that's why like she's happy she died, but it was actually a sad thing that happened to her. But it sounds like it actually was beneficial to her that her mom died.
I know. That story's I listened to Celebrity Memoir Book Club, its podcast, and they basically analyze celebrity memoirs, and I'm pretty sure it was that podcast that did an episode about that book. Crazy.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
She went through it.
Yeah.
I feel so sad for her.
Yeah, like couldn't shower by herself until she was 16 or something.
Yeah, she was like abused.
Yes.
And like, isn't that crazy? Like, I actually think about this a lot, and that's a perfect example of it. We think that certain people just have it all because of what we see on TV or what they post or whatever, and you really never know what people are actually dealing with.
Yeah.
And I try not to be jealous of other people because of that, because it's like you really never know what people are going through, and I'm trying to be thankful for the things I do have. And I don't know, obviously like everyone deals with tough times, but like just because other people have something great like doesn't mean that their whole life is great or whatever. But yeah.
Wait, sorry. Last
keep going.
Tangent. But going off of that, there's this like video series that has been coming up on my Facebook recently called Soft White Underbelly.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen those?
Yes, I have.
Are they new? Because I
don't think it's new.
I've never heard of it, but all of a sudden I'm getting them more consistently. Maybe because I'm watching them, so Facebook's feeding them to me. But they're really interesting.
Yes. It's basically like they interview people that have gone through a crazy experience, right? And a lot of times it's people that maybe would have been judged by the public for what they go through. Like some of them are addicts or people that were in abusive situations. Or what were some of your favorites?
I've only seen 2 so far.
Okay. Do you remember what they were?
The first one was a like adult film actress, like X-rated, like porn star essentially, but she's a model too. And then the other one I just watched was a couple, and they're both addicts. And they were just telling their background. It was interesting. The guy it was a male-female relationship, but the guy like he had a great childhood, and he was saying it. He's like, my dad was my best friend, and my parents are still very supportive of me to this day. And he's like, and I just kind of messed it up. And he didn't even really, he was just saying it so matter-of-factly. Like, he didn't even sound sad. He's just like, I messed up.
Yeah.
And this is where I am now.
Yeah.
And just, like, continued talking about his life.
I feel like that series is so powerful because it allows you to understand someone that's in a completely different situation than you. And it's so easy to be like, oh, well, they chose to do drugs, or like they're living on the street because they made like this mistake, or they did that, it's their own fault, like that kind of thing. But everyone is a person, like everyone matters. And just because you're going through something crazy like that doesn't mean you're not valuable. And I don't know, that series makes me sad because I'm like, I wish we could do more to help people that need it. But yeah, I watched one about a kid who I think was an addict, but he was like 17. And you could just tell he was such a good kid. And he told this whole story about how in high school he had good parents, but then he moved in with his girlfriend. And then his girlfriend and him like had this abusive relationship, but they continued living together. And he's like, I know this is a problem. I just like can't stop. And he just seemed like such a good person. And you're like, oh, like I just hope that he finds his way and his life gets better, because people deserve happiness.
Sad.
Yeah.
But it's a cool series.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're interested in that, it's called Soft White Underbelly. Also, Celebrity Memoir Book Club. It's a great podcast.
Yeah.
And wait, I was going to look up the name of the guy pushing. Oh, Sisyphus.
Okay, I would not have remembered that.
Yeah, that's the guy that pushes the boulder up the hill.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that's like the life that we live. Going to work every day, pushing a boulder up a hill, and then it rolls down. You have to do it again.
That's a good point.
See, I need to read the story and analyze it so that I can escape from the boulder pushing. Or maybe the lesson is about how pushing the boulder does mean something to him. I forget the lesson of the story. I have to look back into it. Maybe I'll update next time we record together.
Okay.
That'll be my goal.
Excited.
I'll write it down. A full analysis of, what is it called? Oh, it's just called Sisyphus, I guess. Okay. Wait. no, I don't want to. On Google, it says what is the moral of Sisyphus? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to ruin it for me. I'm going to see if I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Wow, that was such a good tangent. It wasn't even a tangent. Intro. A lot of people like the intros. That's what they say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
This was a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like this one was very mind-opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Do you want to share a fact? Or are you
I feel like that's good enough.
Cool. We're going to be book girlies.
Yes. Rebecca is a huge book girly. So is my sister, actually. They inspire me. Yeah.
I just have to stop like reaching for my phone because I'll just like get into bed at night and just like go on TikTok and I'm like, I need to be like reading instead.
Yeah. I think one thing that helps is actually bringing a physical book places if you have a bag that you can put it in. Because it's so easy to bring a book. And then if you're just sitting there in like the waiting room of something or even standing in line, I'm like, I want to be the person that's like standing in line to get food or something. And I'm just reading a book. I'm like, damn, goals. Yeah. Actually, reading is so powerful. My one friend who is really into reading was saying that, you know how when you're talking and sometimes you can't think of a word for something, and it's like a really simple word. He said that used to happen to him all the time. But then when he started reading consistently, that almost never happens to him because you're just exposed to so many words that they're all in your brain. And it just makes you smarter. Even if you don't retain the morality of the story.
Right.
I'm like, damn, I really have to challenge myself more.
Yeah, it keeps your mind sharp.
Yeah. At least I read a lot of Reddit stories. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, let's jump into Am I the Asshole? Family Drama Edition. Am I the asshole for not wanting to lie to my son for the sake of family harmony? I feel like this one might be heavy. My parents always wanted grandchildren, and both my brother and I wanted children, but both of us ended up facing fertility issues with our respective partners. My wife and I eventually decided to start working with a surrogate. Our parents are old-fashioned, but they tried to be happy for us. My brother also tried. His wife did not. His wife is as against the concept of surrogacy as it's possible to be, and she always has been. We found a friend who was willing, and we now have a son. Sister-in-law went crazy. She spent months blasting all of us about how horrible we were, that we supported all sorts of terrible practices because we were doing this, etc. She refused to go to our baby shower to see us in the hospital, but she did send a new mom kit meant for a surrogate with things to help a pregnant person recover from childbirth. My brother apologized for her, but said he couldn't change her mind. A few months later, my brother and his wife announced a spontaneous pregnancy after more than 5 years of trying. Our parents were thrilled, and so were we. We were willing to put all of it behind us. They had a daughter, and it only intensified her views. She refused to bring the baby over for holidays or to meet her cousin because she refused to have her daughter raised to view women as objects. Years later, she softened to have our parents around without us at least. My parents want the whole family together again. She's agreed to a compromise that she's willing to do holidays and family outings as long as we never tell the children that our son is from a surrogate. Our parents think we should do this because she has a point, and they were always uneasy with it. I don't agree. This isn't some shameful secret that we should be ashamed of. We didn't do anything wrong. My wife is adamant that we shouldn't, but wants our son to have a cousin. My parents are calling me as much as I'll answer to beg me to consider. My brother just wants the tension to stop and isn't going to fight with her anymore. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this from a nurse's perspective. So how do you feel about surrogacy?
I have never been against it. I was going to say that my initial gut reaction to this is I don't care what your beliefs are or how you want to live your life. You cannot use your personal beliefs as an excuse to be an asshole to other people.
Agreed.
And to affect other people's lives.
Facts.
So just because your sister-in-law doesn't agree with surrogacy does not mean this little boy should not know how he came to be.
Yeah.
And the little miracle that he is. Because his parents struggled.
Yeah. It's so sad that she sees it as a negative thing when nobody's forced to do it. Of course, if the person wasn't a consenting adult, it would be bad. But some people love being pregnant, or so they claim. Some people live to be pregnant and want to help other people. And I feel like now more than ever, you hear about infertility struggles. And so many people want kids. And also, sometimes people just don't want to be pregnant. It's hard on certain people's bodies and easy on other people's bodies.
Right.
So why is it a bad thing for someone that enjoys being pregnant to offer to carry someone else's child and give them the gift of children and give the child a gift of life? Like, it's crazy that modern medicine allows that to be a thing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if it's a consenting adult, what's wrong with that?
That's what I was going to say too. It was her decision to carry the baby. Like,
yeah.
It's not like the couple got together and forced her to agree.
Right.
As far as we know. But like...
And a lot of times, don't people get paid to be a surrogate?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, just to carry a baby, not just, that sounded bad, but to be pregnant and help another family that is struggling.
Right.
And if you agree to it, you're getting compensated for it. What is bad about that? Like, wouldn't that be more empowering because you get to choose to do this for somebody else? I feel like that's the opposite of like seeing women as just a body.
Right.
It's like, no, women are so powerful.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, the more traditional view that the sister-in-law is taking, I think is honestly viewing women more as like just a body made for babies, because like she's shaming the other woman for not being able to carry a body as if that's all that women should do. And, you know, like that's our entire point of our existence. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
So just because she can't get pregnant doesn't mean like you have to shame her about that. And like,
yeah, so just because she can't get pregnant, are you never allowed to have a kid that's biologically yours?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not fair either.
Yeah. Just because like you cannot carry a child does not make you less of a woman. And like to say that like it's wrong for you to have a child a different way, like that's just, I don't know, perpetuating the view that like women should just be here to carry babies.
Yeah, she's basically saying that because your body doesn't work to have a biological child in the most traditional way, you should not have a biological child at all.
Yes.
And isn't that such an outdated view when modern medicine gives us the opportunity to still have biological children, even if our body won't do it for us?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like the view that like women should just have children, be homemakers, like that kind of a thing. Like that seems more of like treating a woman like an object.
Yeah.
I think her traditional view is like more
damaging.
Yes.
Yeah.
To like the role of a woman just in society.
Yeah. I low-key love the idea of surrogacy because being pregnant for me is so scary.
Yeah.
Like, think about being pregnant and giving birth. That is so scary. But for some people, that's their dream.
Yeah.
Like, they just want to be pregnant all the time. Like the girl on Keeping Up with the Kardashians when Kim had the surrogacy.
Right.
And they were talking to that woman about it. And she's like, she loves being pregnant. She feels good being pregnant. Like, what is wrong with that?
Right.
She's getting paid and she's helping other people.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, like some bodies can't support it. It could like cause huge health risks.
Yeah.
But they still want a child.
Yeah.
And I know there's other means, like there's adoption and like other types of, you know, like there's other ways to have like children in your life, but there's nothing wrong with surrogacy. That's just one of many options.
Yeah,
and if you feel comfortable going with that route, then go with that route. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, why are we shaming certain methods of having children as long as they're not hurting anyone?
Right.
Because I'm sure there has been cases where people maybe were forced into it, but this is not one of those times.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be empowering people rather than tearing them down? It's so hard because if it was your sister or your sister-in-law, if my sister-in-law was that adamant about that, to the point where she was going to choose to end a relationship, I feel like that's just a tragic, sad thing that would happen. But I don't think I would lie to my children because I feel like OP already believes this. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It's not like some shameful secret. It's just a fact that happened. So I don't think I would lie to my kids.
No. And if you lose her as your friend or like family member, like, she sounds toxic to begin with. So just like imposing these restrictions and beliefs on people, like you don't need that.
And someone that's giving you an ultimatum like that, being like, you need to lie to your kids.
Right.
Or I'm not going to be in your life. And it's like, no, I'm going to do what's best for my kids. Like, you have to pick your kids over anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
like, who are you, lady?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I don't want to say that she's an asshole for believing what she believes because anyone is allowed to have beliefs, but taking them out on other people isn't it?
Nah. Not the vibe.
No. Vibe kill.
No thanks.
The sister-in-law's the asshole.
Yeah.
Case closed. I kind of want to get a gavel.
Oh, you should.
I did mock trial in high school, so I have a gavel upstairs.
That would be so funny.
Okay, I'm going to, next time we record.
Okay, yeah.
Or should I get it now?
Do you have it?
Yeah, it's upstairs in my room. Should I get it?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go get it. I got it.
It's here.
Asshole.
Perfect.
Here's my fun fact for the day. I did mock trial in high school because I wanted to be a lawyer. And if you did mock trial 3 or more years in high school, you got the gavel senior year. It's engraved with my name. I got an engraved gavel and it's mine. Maybe I'll go to law school.
Yeah.
I love this for us. This is going to be great. Do you want to hold it?
Sure. Wow, I've never felt a gavel.
Yes.
That's perfect.
We have a little metal dish that we're going to use. Okay. Wow, this is fun. Sister's the asshole.
Case closed.
Case closed. Am I the asshole for sitting on my husband's lap during Thanksgiving dinner because all chairs at the table were taken? I, female 28, have been with my husband, Sean, male 33, for 2 years, married for 5 months. Most of his family are decent people, but his mom can be a little passive-aggressive and tends to criticize me a lot. Sean sees it as her still getting used to me being around. But I don't know, because she treats his ex, Jalessa, good. Mother-in-law says that Jalessa has been around the family for ages, and her past with Sean never affected her relationship with her. Fine. I never minded her attending every holiday and being around until yesterday. Wait, so his ex comes to family parties. Okay, that's odd.
Huh. Jalessa.
Yeah, what the hell? I would not love that, but okay. We had Thanksgiving dinner at my mother-in-law's house. Sean went there before me, and when I arrived, it was already dinner time. Everyone was seated, and I saw that all the chairs were taken. I asked my mother-in-law why she didn't save me a seat, and she said sorry, and that one of her granddaughters decided to show up last minute, and the chair was taken. I looked at her, then at Jalessa, who was sitting next to Sean, and tried to point out how I was more deserving of the chair since I'm the daughter-in-law. I know I shouldn't have said it. I know. Mother-in-law flat out said that Jalessa is as much family as me, and that it was rude to imply otherwise. Jalessa was nodding confidently while glaring at me. I'd be done. Okay. I was so upset I wanted to leave, but I decided just to sit on my husband's lap and act as casual as possible. I sat on his lap asking if he was okay with it. Don't worry, I'm petite. He's strong built. Good thing she included that.
Oh, thank God.
And started eating so casually while smiling and complimenting the food and mentioning to Sean how warm and comfortable his lap was now and then. My table went awkwardly silent. Brother-in-law would try to break the silence and change the subject, but it somehow goes back to being awkward. Mother-in-law and Jalessa were barely eating, and they were just staring at each other, then at me with their eyes wide open. Minutes later, Jalessa excused herself to the bathroom, and so did my mother-in-law. It was still awkward, but I did my best to focus on dinner. Sean was eating as well. Later, there was just so much tension, and mother-in-law was barely able to speak after Jalessa left, early, like right after dinner. Sean and I went home, and mother-in-law tried calling, but then called Sean and texted me, saying what I did was inappropriate and that I ruined Thanksgiving dinner and made it awkward. She said it wasn't her fault that chairs were taken, and I could have dragged a chair from the kitchen, but acted childly and made Jalessa and the family uncomfortable with how inappropriate I was. I need to mention that even if I took a chair from the kitchen, there was not enough space at the dinner table to fit the chair. Everyone was sitting right next to each other.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mother-in-law is crazy. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot going on here as well.
Yes.
So first red flag, the fact that Jalessa is still attending her ex-boyfriend's family parties. I mean, I get it if she shows up every once in a while, if she maintains a friendship with other family members, but on Thanksgiving?
I know.
Weird.
Yeah.
Mother-in-law is so spiteful.
Mm-hmm.
And why didn't the husband get up out of his chair and offer the seat?
That too. Sean seems like he needs to be a little bit more active here.
Yeah.
He's just letting all the women in his life like hate each other.
Yeah.
And he's just like sitting there eating his turkey. Like,
yeah, I feel like he definitely could have done a little bit more.
He could have gotten her a chair from the kitchen. Like,
I feel like if that was me, I wouldn't even want to sit on my husband's lap because I feel like it would make more of a statement to just peacefully leave and like not say anything and then just talk to your husband when you got home and be like, what the hell was that? Like, that was so rude.
Right.
And can you stick up for me when your mom is treating me like that? And I hate the idea that the ex is at Thanksgiving sitting right next to Sean.
Yeah.
It's giving toxicity.
Just a little.
Sometimes I'm like, how is this real?
I know.
Like, how is this actually real? I can't imagine our family Thanksgiving and having any one of their exes there and then being rude to the new partner just because the ex is present. What?
Excuse me. Jalessa, who are you? Like,
yeah.
Why are you here?
Literally, why are you here? But just because the mother-in-law is close with Jalessa?
I don't know.
She appears at Thanksgiving. Very weird. Very weird. I don't think OP's an asshole.
No.
But I think the family overall is whack, and your husband might be whack as well.
Yeah. I do think that OP sitting on his lap and commenting on how warm and comfortable he is just a little like too much, but
yeah,
the family is doing too much as well, so I understand.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, at the dinner table, like.
Yeah. I mean, I get why, and she knows, she's like, I shouldn't have said that. I know. But yeah, I feel like maybe that's not the way to teach the mother-in-law a lesson if that was your goal.
Yeah.
But it would be very hard to keep composure.
Oh, yeah.
When someone is being that rude to you. And it's ironic that the mother-in-law is like, you were being childish by sitting on his lap, as if she wasn't being childish by refusing to get her daughter-in-law a chair at the Thanksgiving table that she was invited to.
Mm-hmm. But like, even if she did get a chair, it would have been a big deal about making everyone move.
Yeah.
And squeezing her in and ruining dinner in some other way because of the chair.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what OP did, she probably would have ruined Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I think the mother-in-law just loves drama.
Yeah.
Why do people love drama so much within their family and friend group?
I know. And you can tell she loves drama because she waited till they left and then wrote this whole nasty text and sent it, like, just to keep it going. Yeah. And make it, like, even bigger than it had already been.
Yeah, and even when OP sat down on her husband's lap, the mother-in-law still refused to get her a chair.
Yeah.
Like, she could have, if she really didn't like it, she could have been like, oh my God, OP, what are you doing? Like, don't be silly. Let me go grab a chair for you. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't realize, or whatever. Yeah. But she's a drama queen and maybe a little bit of a biatch.
Yeah. Can you just imagine having someone, like, a guest at your home and there's no room for them to sit and you don't do anything about it?
No.
That would make me even more uncomfortable, like, as the host.
Yeah.
To not do anything. And everyone's just like, not one person did anything.
I know. Not one other person felt like it was rude to exclude a family member. I feel like I would hope that if that was me and it was my cousin or my sister-in-law or whoever OP is, I would hope that I would be like, oh, let's go just sit in the kitchen together. Or sit somewhere else together.
I thought about that too. Like, if there are chairs in the kitchen, maybe a few people can go in there.
I feel bad for OP.
Yeah, that sucks.
It just would suck if that was your family.
Yeah.
Like, that's the family you married into.
Yeah. Is
a family that doesn't even want to get you a chair at the table on Thanksgiving. Sorry, OP. Your mother-in-law's an asshole.
Perfect.
Am I the asshole for serving my family food from the trash? For context, my sister and I grew up relatively poor. When I was 6, our mom took a promotion and moved 3 hours away. We found out in our adult life she had been hoarding her money and giving our alcoholic father a small allowance to raise us. With his addiction problems, it left us minimal money for essentials. By the time I was 16, we were technically on our own, and I was ransacking dumpsters to feed myself and my sister. Oh my gosh.
That's horrible.
Yeah. I'm now in my late 30s, have a successful career, and live quite comfortably. My sister is also well off now. My wife and I have a great relationship. I've worked to stop some of my old habits from my upbringing. Some of my penny pinching techniques, my wife graciously ignores and lets me save our money where I can. However, there's one issue we always can't find a compromise. I can't handle when food is thrown out. Our daughter, 12, wanted chickens last year. That ended up being a good idea since our table scraps could go to them instead of being wasted to the trash. For the record, I hate when my wife shops at Costco. She buys too much for our family and creates a lot of waste. I've asked her to at least donate what we don't eat or give it to me so I can drop it off at a homeless camp nearby. She promised to buy less quantity, but that didn't last because she doesn't like grocery shopping more than once a week. Last week I came home and found a sealed pack of lettuce, 1 whole cucumber, an entire loaf of bread, and potatoes in the trash can outside. The lettuce was expired, but it looked fine. The bread was also expired, but had no mold. The potatoes had eyes, but weren't green or rotten yet. I went inside and started dinner. I grilled chicken, which was the only item not from the trash. I made a salad and added the cucumber, used the bread to make croutons, and finally, I made mashed potatoes. We all sat down to eat. My wife mentioned how great the food was. I told her it was what she had thrown out earlier that day. She was completely mortified and grossed out. I told her that I washed everything off before cooking it, but she said that didn't matter. My point was, if the food was good enough for us to eat, it should not have been thrown out. At bare minimum, she could have given it to her daughter to take it to the chickens. She argued back that I should have taken it from the trash to the chickens, not to our table. She was irritated with me, fearing we all would have gotten food poisoning or something, but none of us got sick from the food. She said regardless, it was wrong for me to prove a point in that manner and borderline abusive to serve the family food from the trash. I don't really see what I did wrong. There are starving people in this world, and for us to throw out perfectly fine food just doesn't sit right with me. Am I the asshole?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you go first.
So, okay, wait, I have a few thoughts. I can see that the wife would be grossed out because I would also be grossed out, like, knowing that stuff that's going, like, into my stomach was in the trash. Even if it was sealed, I have an issue with that, too. Like, yeah, I don't know, I get grossed out by that. Sometimes if I'm, like, grossed out enough by something, I just tell myself, like, whatever is in my stomach now, like, my stomach acid will kill it and I'll be okay. Like, coping mechanisms. But you have to think, like, OP survived their whole life eating food from the trash. Like, you're probably not going to get food poisoning. Like, you'll probably be okay. So I don't think OP put anyone in danger. That's, like, my first point. I think that that was okay, especially, like, the food was expired, but I don't think expiration dates need to be taken as unedible. They're just, like, a suggested time to keep the food, at least, like, for stores, from my understanding. So, I don't think that they were putting anyone in danger. I think feeding it to their family is questionable, but they cooked it and cleaned it. Yeah. So, I get that. I think, I don't know, that's kind of, like, the wife was kind of being a jerk by tossing all that stuff, especially knowing who she's married to. Yeah. Like, I don't think I would ever toss, like, a full loaf of bread if it wasn't moldy, even if it was expired. Like, that seems very excessive to me. And I don't have these, like, food waste issues, like, internal issues that OP has. Like, and to me, it still seems excessive. Like, and you do have chickens. You can go give that to them. Like, my family composts, so we try and, like, minimize our waste by composting. There's just other options, especially if you have, like, a large quantity of food that has expired and you absolutely have to get rid of it. There's, like, other options than putting it into a garbage can. It is wasteful. Agreed. It's definitely wasteful. Yeah. It just sucks that OP has probably expressed this before and the wife doesn't, in that moment, didn't respect it. And it's a big deal and, like, part of OP's, like, upbringing and, like, they're very affected by it. So it sucks that, like, she's not considering that. So I don't think OP's the asshole.
I agree that he didn't put anyone in danger, but it's also, like, I don't know. I think the wife could definitely be more understanding, and it would only help her family to not throw out food that she paid money for or that they paid money for. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's weird to teach your family a lesson like that. Yeah. Does it make you an asshole? Maybe not, but I think there's a way better way you could have gone about it. But like you said, he did try to communicate it with her in the past, and at least this time she didn't respect what he asked of her. But also he's like, my wife doesn't like going food shopping more than once a week. Well, why don't you go food shopping
I was going to say that too. That was like my immediate thought when he said that.
Yeah. So why couldn't he say to his wife, oh, just buy a little bit less, and just so we don't have to waste, I'll just go and get what we need halfway through the week or next week or whatever. But he's like, well, she doesn't want to, so then she just buys too much and throws it out. Well, what's the solution going to be to that? Right. Seems pretty obvious, but okay. But then again, you never know. Like, maybe that was their compromise when they got married. Maybe she's a stay-at-home parent and he is a working parent, and she's like, you work and I'll do the chores. Who knows? Maybe in that case, it's justified. But if they both are working parents and she's just going to the grocery store by herself in addition to doing all the things that he does, like providing for the family, I feel like he needs to maybe step it up and create a solution that's not just blaming her for what she's doing wrong.
Well, maybe he cooks because he cooked this meal.
True.
So maybe she shops and he cooks. Maybe they need to split it up in a different way.
True. Maybe. One time when I was in college, I was doing a group project, and I might have told the story in the podcast before, so sorry if this is boring, but we were inside in this building all day working on this group project, and we were all starving, and there was no food in the building that we were in. We were walking down the hallway and there was a trash can, and on top of the trash can was like, it was basically filled with pizza boxes, and the top box had one slice of pizza left in it. And this one guy in my group, he was so normal. Like, I really liked him, completely normal person. He's like, ooh, I am so hungry. And we were like, okay. And he's like, you guys, would you judge me or think that I'm bad if I eat that slice of pizza? And we were like, no, you can go for it. And I'm not going to lie, part of me, not that I judged him because I think he's a brilliant person, but part of me was like, I would not do that.
Yeah.
Like, I am hungry too. But it's not like we're starving. We're just doing a group project. Like, it's not like we're dying starving. Right. And you never know. Like, that piece of pizza could have been on the ground. A dog could have licked it. A person could have licked it and been like, I just wanted the toppings off the top or whatever.
That's true.
And I was like, that is bold. Yeah. When you don't have to. And I almost feel like that with this family. It's like they didn't have to eat the stuff out of the trash.
Yeah.
So even though they didn't get sick, nothing bad came from it. It's just a little risky, I guess. I just don't love it.
Yeah.
I just don't love the idea of like teaching your partner a lesson and like going behind their back and doing this tricky thing. I just wish that they could have come to an agreement without it having to come to a trick.
Yeah.
And like, I told you so kind of thing. But maybe sometimes that's the only way when you try to talk to someone. Maybe that's the only solution. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's an asshole, but I recommend open and honest communication.
There we go.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is. Had to say it 15 times in each episode. Okay, here's a wedding one.
Yay.
Am I the asshole for letting my son get fast food and bring it into a wedding reception? My son, 22 male, is a picky eater. My cousin was getting married and had a lovely reception with a nice buffet. Johnny, I guess that's the son, wasn't a fan of what was served to him, so I let him leave and get some food. Word spread amongst our family where he was going, and a few people asked him to bring things back, so he did. We are at a table near the dance floor, and you could probably smell it there, but nobody in our immediate family had a chance problem, even the bride and groom. Apparently, the venue and the family of the bride were appalled, and I don't understand why. It was a great party, but he wanted something different, and other people did too. So, am I the asshole? Edit, he's 22 years old and in college. He has no medical issues. He just has a limited palate. When I said I let him, I meant I let him take my car since we all rode together. Further edit, the food was served buffet style, a nice soup, salad, tenderloin, barbecue beef, pasta, and a few other selections. It was actually really good for wedding food. Everyone else who partook in the fast food did so because, well, it was there and it tasted good. They didn't have a problem with the venue's food. Also, as some people said, 1 or 2 chicken bones did end up in the floor on the venue. That was unfortunate. Okay. I feel like she's not the asshole for letting her son go get his own thing, but to make it like this group experience is just a little much. Like, I totally get that an individual here or there has a limited palate, like she says, and I don't think it's disrespectful for him to quietly leave for a few minutes, go and get his own thing, come back, maybe eat it alone, come back, rejoin the party, don't make a scene, don't tell people what you did, because I think it could come off as disrespectful.
Right.
But the fact that they were like taking orders, they made it this huge thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might come off as disrespectful because when people host a wedding, they pay so much money for this food.
Yes.
And if all of these people are choosing fast food over what they paid tens of thousands of dollars for, that could be very hurtful and disrespectful. And I would get it even more if it was children. But for a 22-year-old to be like making a scene like that, I feel like that's a bit much. And luckily the bride and groom didn't have a problem with it. But if I was the bride, I mean, maybe the bride and groom were like, I don't care what they do. They can do their own thing. I'm going to enjoy my wedding. Right. That's fine. I do still think it's a bit disrespectful to make it this huge thing. I feel like the correct thing, if your son really didn't want to eat any of that food, was to go quietly, do his own thing, tell people he's going to the bathroom or going to the car to grab something, or just don't say anything. Just leave, do your thing, come back, don't say anything.
My younger brother has been a picky eater in the past. His palate has more variety now, but
he was like bread and mac and cheese.
Yes, yeah. And there was one wedding where I think we asked the kitchen if they had chicken tenders or something like that, because you could assume they probably had something to accommodate children.
Yeah.
So he did end up getting like chicken tenders, and he was able to eat with the rest of like the guests at the reception, which was nice. I don't know if this was him or if I'm just like making this up, but I feel like another time we might have gone somewhere ahead of time before the reception and gotten him something, and he ate it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I think to like bring the food in is like kind of taboo. Like it's as if you're bringing stuff into like a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like just, I think that's just kind of like a no-no. Like,
yeah.
And especially at an event like a wedding where you've paid so much, especially per head for this food. Like I would be a little bit insulted if I was the family. It is nice that the bride and groom didn't care. They probably could not care less because they're just enjoying their day. And I've heard that that's what it's like on your wedding day. Like stuff can go wrong and you just don't care because you're just
having fun.
Yeah, you're just happy to have your wedding. Like the bare bones of the story, like him not wanting the food and getting his own food, that I think that's fine.
Right.
I don't think that's disrespectful. He doesn't like the food. Like there's really nothing like that he could do about it or that anyone else could do about it. So he solved the problem. But the way he went about it is just a little, and like everyone, the way that everyone went about it is a little questionable.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a group order like that, make it like an after party type of a thing.
Right.
Don't do it like at
during
dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't let your chicken bones fall onto the dance floor.
Oh my God.
Oh,
because that was unfortunate. Yeah, that's a little rude to be dropping your chicken bones.
Imagine you just like step back in your heel and you just snap a chicken bone like under it. No, thank you. Like, where did that come from, too? Like, you had tenderloin for dinner?
Yeah, you know what? It's one thing to get fast food during a wedding. It's another thing to take a group order for you and all your extended family. But I think where it crosses the line is when you throw your chicken bones onto the dance floor and you don't take accountability. And what you say is, yeah, that was unfortunate.
Oh, that's
It was, wasn't it? It was very unfortunate. And that's why everyone thinks you're an asshole now.
Yes.
I will say, when I was younger, I did not like wedding food, and I asked my parents if I could get fast food during a wedding reception, and they said no. And my aunt was like, yeah, just go get it. And my parents did not let me. And I didn't miss anything, honestly. It was fine. I ate probably like the mashed potatoes and the side of whatever.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. This buffet at this wedding seemed pretty good. Yeah, I feel like it could have been handled better. So I would say asshole.
Yeah, sorry.
I love this. Okay, I feel like this one could be dramatic. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that we weren't going to cater to her just because she's pregnant? My sister-in-law is 6 months pregnant and is high risk. Because of that, she's unable to work, so she couldn't keep her apartment. The father isn't in the photo. I don't know why I automatically read picture as photo. The father isn't in the picture, so she moved in with us. Her and I have never had the best relationship, but I put that aside because my husband wanted to help her. We are not charging her rent or anything, as she has very little money. We are buying all of the groceries, and I do a lot of cooking. Here's where the issue is. We live a pretty healthy lifestyle, and I don't like a lot of junk food in the house, as we want the kids to have healthier options, so I don't buy a ton. We aren't super strict or anything, but we will have a thing of ice cream for a week or so, and then the next trip, we might get a box of brownie mix or a bag of candy. Sister-in-law has been requesting candy, ice cream, chips, pizza rolls, basically all junk food constantly because she has cravings. Now, we aren't exactly rich, so I don't want to be spending money on food that no one but her would eat. And I don't want to be dealing with kids that are constantly asking if they can have ice cream for breakfast or pizza rolls for dinner. She has also been asking me to cook different meals as certain things make her not feel well. I totally get the nausea, but making meals that both of my kids will eat without a complaint is hard enough. Last night, she complained again that I don't keep anything she can eat in the house. She didn't want any of the food I made. And later, when we didn't have ice cream, she asked asked if I would go get her something from the store or Dairy Queen. I got a little short with her and flat out told her that we are fine helping her, but we aren't her kid's father, and we aren't just going to cater to her because she is knocked up. She cried. Husband feels stuck in the middle.
Yikes.
Knocked up.
Oh.
Okay.
It honestly sounds like they have adopted a third child, though.
True.
Like, that's frustrating.
Yeah. And like, where does she get off going into somebody else's house and them not asking her to pay bills? She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have a job. And then she's like, can you get me this? Can you cook me this?
Demands.
I want this.
No.
Ugh.
Girl.
I feel like OP maybe could have left out the knocked up comment, but I get that some people lose their shit when people are taking advantage of them, and it kind of feels like this is happening here.
Yeah.
The sister-in-law seems very entitled, so I get why OP is so mad. That would drive me crazy. To be working hard and be a mom and be cooking and trying to give my kids healthy food, and then just having someone in my house who isn't working, is probably not helping to do any chores, is not paying for anything, just have them nagging at me constantly, asking me for more and more and more. I'd be like, what do you want from me? Like, that's crazy.
It's also frustrating, like, she's high risk, so if you're trying to support her in your home, then support the high risk aspects of her pregnancy, but the cravings are not a high risk pregnancy symptom.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You don't have to cater to the cravings. I'm sorry. I've never been pregnant, so I really don't know how bad they get or how they feel or anything, but like, OP sounds like she's done a really good job protecting the peace of her house. She has set boundaries with junk food and her children, and it sounds like it's been successful so far. And now to have someone come in and just like flip it all upside down, like, that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Especially like for no reason. Like, it's just, you're just craving stuff. Like,
I feel like she could at least offer to be like, hey, could I make brownies with you?
Yes.
And then we can share them or something. But the fact that she's like, we don't have ice cream. Can you go get me something from Dairy Queen?
Like a single order.
Yeah.
You're not leaving the house, but now I'm going to make you leave the house. It's not like she's going to go run errands and pick it up on her way home. It's like, no, like, get your car keys, go get me this one thing and come back.
Yeah.
No.
Oof. Wow, people are entitled.
Oh, yes. I see this every day at my job.
Really? With patients?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, like, the manipulation and the entitlement that people, like, put me through. Oh, my gosh.
Tricia is a nurse, by the way, in case you didn't know.
But when you're working as an inpatient nurse for people who, I don't know where they come from, but they just think that you're also their waitress, their secretary, their therapist, their punching bag, like,
just everything.
It's crazy. Yeah. And it's like, I'm just trying to get you through the next 12 hours.
Yeah. I'm just trying to keep you alive.
Yeah.
I can't handle all the rest.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy people out there. But yeah, the entitlement is real. And a lot of people, just for no reason, like, what have you done to give you this superiority complex? But
I know. You're just like entitled to your brother's wife and their home.
Yeah.
Definitely not the asshole OP.
No. Don't get her that ice cream.
No ice cream for the sister. For the pregnant sister. This one is so interesting because we kind of had a discussion about something similar at a family gathering recently. Okay. So, am I the asshole for not making my son apologize to his mother-in-law after an argument? I, male 41, am married to my wife, female 37. I have 2 kids from my previous marriage, a boy 15 and a girl 13. I am Jewish, as was my first wife before she passed. My current wife is not. We have no kids together. My kids have always got along with their stepmom and her family fairly well until recently. Thanksgiving with my wife's family is a huge affair, and it's the only chance a lot of the family has to see each other during the year. My kids and I do not eat pork, but there are always options for us, or we bring something we specifically can eat, like vegetarian lasagna. Wednesday night, I had dinner with my wife's parents at their place. I should mention that my wife is not personally religious, although she attends services with her parents monthly. My parents-in-law are very, very conservative-style evangelicals. We mostly don't talk about our religious difference, although I once had to stop my mother-in-law from encouraging my daughter to be baptized. Everything was fine until the end of the meal when my mother-in-law crossed her arms and said, "See, we told you nothing bad would happen." I asked her what she meant. My mother-in-law said that she had mixed bacon into one of the dishes, a casserole, to prove a point to us. I tried to ask very calmly why she would do something like that. My mother-in-law said it was to show that there was no point in following the Old Testament law anymore. I asked my father-in-law if he knew what she had done, and he said yes. He seemed more uncomfortable, but he talked a bit about how Christ came to free us from the Jewish law and that they wanted to show us how we could be freed from the law as well. He worked as a pastor in the past. By this time, my daughter was crying and left the room. My wife got up and followed her. My son has been growing more observant as he gets older. He is more observant than me or my daughter. He flipped out. He screamed at my parents-in-law that they were terrible people, called my mother-in-law some very nasty names, and said he never wanted to come back. My father-in-law started shouting back, and my mother-in-law started crying. I told my kids to get in the car and then told my wife we were leaving. She said she would stay at her parents' so she could help them with Thanksgiving prep the next morning. I was texting with my wife on Thanksgiving, and she told me my son is not welcome to come until he apologizes for the things that he called my mother-in-law. I told her that's ridiculous, but she is siding with her parents. I told my kids we would not be attending Thanksgiving. Instead, we ordered Chinese and watched movies. My son was fine with it, but I could tell my daughter was down. She missed out on seeing a lot of friends she has in my wife's family. My wife is still mad at her parents as of now. I should mention too that I am very angry at what happened and what I feel is the disrespect shown to me and especially my kids. I am torn on whether to encourage my son to apologize contingent on a mutual apology to us. Am I the asshole?
Oh my God.
Do you remember we talked about something similar recently? We talked about how...
Oh, yes.
Yes. We talked about how certain people... I feel like dietary restrictions sounds like a negative thing in this context, but I don't mean it to be a negative thing. Some parents will put dietary restrictions on their children because that's what they believe in morally. And we were talking about how, like, is that right to do to kids when they don't technically consent to it?
Right.
When we were talking with our family, the example that we gave is like when you raise your kids as being vegan, and some of the people in our family were like, oh, that's bad because the kid doesn't consent to it. And I was like trying to explain to them that some people feel as strongly about veganism as other people feel about kosher and like that kind of thing. I'm getting off topic already, but we can handle this story first. Okay, do you have any first thoughts?
I cannot believe that there are people out there who will try and prove to other people that their religion is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I am shocked that an adult who is married to a pastor and claims that they're Christian.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, Christians are supposed to be accepting of all people, like, love thy neighbor, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're out here sneaking bacon into people's food to prove that nothing bad would happen. Like, obviously they're not.
So sad.
It's horrible. Obviously, people who follow a kosher diet are not expecting to combust into flames the minute they touch pork or something.
Yeah.
Like, they know nothing bad is going to happen in that sense. But you need to respect that they have beliefs and they have probably been brought up with these beliefs and they're a big part of their life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your job to do that for someone else.
Yeah.
At all. Let God do the judging and the decisions on, you know, what rules you followed and what religion you practiced when you were here.
Yeah.
That is not your job. So that makes me so mad. Also, I have to say, the husband saying that Christ came to free us from Jewish law, I think that's a little wrong. I think he came to free us from sin and not another religion.
Ugh.
Because he was Jewish himself.
Yeah.
I'm just shook at these people.
I just can't believe that they would so blatantly disrespect family members. Like, even if it wasn't a religious belief, like I was kind of getting at earlier, even if it was just a dietary restriction. I'm vegetarian, for example. If someone put meat into my food and they were like, see, was that really so bad? I would be furious.
Yes.
Because it's something that matters to you. And why are you so like anti something that matters to them?
It doesn't affect you if someone else is vegetarian.
Yeah.
It has no effect on your life.
Yeah.
on things that happen to you, good or bad. It will not touch your life in any way. Let people be vegetarian if they want. And it's not your job to prove that they're wrong.
I know. It's so disrespectful.
Yes.
That's so sad.
Yes. And it's sad that the daughter got upset. Like,
I know.
That's horrible.
When we were talking with our family, the example that we were using was veganism, and some of our family members were saying that, oh, you can't be mad if you raise your kids vegan and then they go to a party and they have a cupcake that's not vegan. And I was like, I think you can be mad, because most parents are trying to raise their kids in the best way, what they think is going to give them the best life. And I think that's an important point, because we all have the same goal, just because maybe we have a different way of getting there. So for example, if I raised my kids vegan and then they went to a party and they were fed a cupcake or whatever that wasn't vegan, when I asked the other parents not to, I would be so upset.
Yeah.
Because it's a belief system. I feel like it doesn't matter if it's rooted in like a religion or if it's rooted in just
like
a personal health or a personal morality compass, like anything like that. The fact that you're blatantly disrespecting what someone else believes in. And I feel like another thing with veganism is people are like, oh, that's so annoying. Like, why would you get mad at that? I said this in our family discussion. I was like, well, you wouldn't think it was weird if it was a kosher parent, or if it was a parent that raised their kids kosher and they were like, oh, that food item isn't kosher, please don't feed it to my kid. Almost everyone would be on that side, or the side of that parent.
Yeah.
So why was it different when it comes to veganism or vegetarianism or any other belief at all? Right. I just feel like we all have to accept that just because other people might not believe what we believe, most people have the same goal.
Yeah.
And most people can coexist most of the time. And to blatantly disrespect someone like that and sneak something into their body to prove a point, that is not how you get someone to agree with you.
Right.
Like, if you want to talk to someone about their beliefs and their religion or morality or whatever, talk to them, ask questions. But to be tricky about it, this I feel like goes back to the same thing with the guy who took food out of the trash. Like, why do we have to trick the people we love into getting them to see our side? Like, that's not how you get someone to see your side. How you get someone to see your side, if that's really your goal, is to talk to them and hear them out and ask them to hear you out. Like, it just is so sad for me when I hear this story, because I'm like, I feel so bad for those kids, because I feel like when I became vegetarian, it was so long ago now, but I remember the first year that I was vegetarian, every family party that I went to, people said to me, oh, are you still vegetarian? Or like, isn't that hard? Like, are you sure you don't want to just eat the turkey on Thanksgiving? Like, it's once a year, like blah, blah, blah. Or like the ham on Easter, like just eat it.
It was always a big discussion.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't want to eat it. Like, I really care about it and I don't want to eat it. The second year that I was vegetarian, all of my aunts and uncles came to family parties and said, Kel, we brought this sauce for you. It doesn't have meatballs in it. We brought this pasta dish that doesn't have meat touching it or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. Like, these people care about me so much, like my extended family. And to this day, almost 10 years later, my family members, my aunts and uncles, will bring meals to my family party, or they will cook sauce in different pans because they know that I don't like it when it has meatballs in it or whatever. And I'm like, I appreciate that so much. And it took maybe a minute for them to understand, or maybe just understand that I was serious about it. And I wasn't just like going through a phase or something. It was something that actually mattered to me. And I'm just so thankful that my family is like that. And I feel like a lot of people's families can be like that. I remember in college, I took a class on earth ethics and my professor was vegan. And he said the same thing. He's like, when you decide to live life in a certain way, the first time you tell your family or your friends, they're going to question you. They're going to ask you why you're doing it. Are you sure you want to? Encourage you to do something else. But then the second time and the third time and every time after that, it's going to get easier. And people are going to become more open-minded the more you talk to them and stick to your beliefs. And I just saw that so much in our family. And
well, so Julia, my younger sister, Julia is a vegetarian. And I was going to say, like, Kelly walked so Julia could run. She doesn't get questioned at all by, like, our family. My other side of the family, she has been questioned because she's, like, the first vegetarian. But, like, the Whalen side, it's so funny. Like, it's just accepted now.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
A few Christmases ago, my mom made lasagna for Christmas. And we were just, like, at my house. I think it was during COVID, actually. And Julia was vegetarian. And my mom and Julia had both been kind of experimenting with the Impossible meat. I forgot about that. So we were eating lasagna, and I started to see some ground beef in the lasagna. And I'm, like, eating it slowly. And I was like, I cannot believe that she snuck meat into this lasagna. And now Julia's eating it. She probably doesn't even see it. I was sitting there fuming. Like, ask anyone. Once we finished eating, my mom goes, so how did everyone like the lasagna? And I was like, did you put meat? Like, I was like so mad. Like, was there meat in there? And she's like, I bet you thought there was. It was the Impossible meat. And she and Julia both started laughing. And they're like, we got you guys. Like, it tastes like ground beef, doesn't it? Like, but, you know, it's like plant-based, all this stuff. And I was like, I was dying. I was about to freak out and get so mad because I thought that you had snuck meat into this lasagna. But then I realized it wasn't to trick Julia. It was to trick me, actually.
You're like, okay,
I got conned. I got played.
But I love how hard you ride for her. You're like, you did this.
I was so
and you know
mad.
Your mom would never do anything like that.
Yeah, I know. I was so surprised. But when Julia first became vegetarian, I feel like I was always like, Julia, make sure like that broth is vegetable based, like not chicken broth, like because there's certain things you don't really think about. But I just feel like from you, like I knew like I was kind of on the lookout, like, oh, there could be meat in there and you just don't even know because it's not like right in front of you. Yeah. So, but
that's
I was
hilarious.
dying. I was like, okay.
That is so funny. So anyway, when I hear this story and I'm like, if someone in my family snuck meat into my food just to prove a point, I might cut off the relationship with that person because whether I cared strongly about it or not, I cared about it in that moment.
Right.
And for you to just utterly disrespect what I believe in is so disrespectful. Yeah. And I feel like in certain cases, unforgivable. Mm-hmm. So you can have different beliefs than people and you can coexist and you can not even understand it. There are certain beliefs that I'm sure in the world I will never understand, but I'm not going to blatantly disrespect them to try to prove a point, to try to get people on my side. Ugh.
Yeah. Like these people are so pressed.
Yeah.
And for what?
And for what?
Just calm down. Like,
yeah,
you do not need to put any energy into proving to these children that bacon won't hurt them. Like, you don't. I promise you, you really don't.
Yeah. And that's the same thing that's so hard. Like, one of the first things you said was these kids that are eating kosher, or anyone that eats kosher, they know that if they accidentally take a bite of something, the world's not going to explode. Like, that's not the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it because that's what they believe is the best way to live life and serve the God that they believe in. Or whatever. And then to try to push your belief onto them, like that's just not how you prove a point. Like if you wanted to truly spread how you felt about your religion, like that's not necessarily a bad thing. Mm-hmm. If you're being open-minded and giving people a choice, like that's great. But I just feel like at the end of the day, everyone has the same goal. Like the parents-in-law, I'm sure their goal is to serve God. The kids that are eating kosher food, their goal is to serve God. So why are you so anti their way of doing it? It doesn't affect you at all.
No.
It's so sad.
You can continue your entire life how you want, and someone eating kosher next to you just will not change anything.
Yes. Ever. Also, I feel like their belief is so backwards too because it's almost funny how much they're missing the point.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, eating non-kosher isn't going to make a difference. So like by that theory, wouldn't eating kosher not make a difference in your mind? So why do you care that much? Like literally, why do you care that much if it doesn't make a difference? Like you're proving your own point and then you're proving yourself wrong. Like what?
Yeah.
Just missing something. I don't know. Anyway, going back to the first thing that I was saying, kind of just outside of this story, but the idea of like raising your kids with certain beliefs. We all have the same goal as parents. And I really appreciated that conversation we had with our family a few weeks ago, because it was just interesting to hear like some of our family members were like, oh, like feeding your kids only vegan food isn't fair to them because they're not consenting to that. But then I was like, okay, like that's one way of looking at it. But maybe another way of looking at it is they're also not consenting to eating meat. And as children, you're really not consenting to anything. It's your parents that are making the choices for you, and they're making the choices that they think are best for you. So I feel like that argument isn't super strong. But yeah, I just think that whether it comes from an organized religion or whether it comes from a Bible or whether it comes from spirituality or just a moral compass that you find within yourself, I just feel like we're all doing the best we can. And for the most part, what we believe at the end of the day is really not that different. So it's okay to teach people what you believe if they're open and they want to learn about it. Like if this set of parents-in-laws were like, you know, this is what we believe, like, would you ever consider this? Awesome. Let them consider it with an open mind. But we don't need to force our beliefs on people and trick them. I just think we all have the same goal of being a good person, and that's just how they're doing it. And it is really sad when people get criticized for making those morality choices or whatever religious choices just because they're religious choices or like morality choices. I don't know.
Like, they're not harming anyone. So why does it matter?
Yeah.
So what was the OP was saying that they didn't go to Thanksgiving dinner and he thinks his daughter was upset?
So the son is basically not allowed to go to Thanksgiving dinner until he apologizes to the mother-in-law.
Right.
I think that is completely backwards.
Yeah.
What does he have to apologize for? Standing up for himself? She completely disregarded something that was so important to him.
If someone did something like that to her, I'm sure she would be demanding an apology too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the son should get an apology from her. But she doesn't see it that way, which is frustrating.
I don't think I would ever apologize for that. If someone snuck meat into my food to prove a point and then they were like, see, I told you nothing would happen, I would maybe apologize for exploding and yelling in their face, but I would never apologize for standing up for myself and showing that person what they did wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's absurd.
Yeah.
And if the mother-in-law can't see that, maybe that's someone that you don't need in your life.
Yeah. It's just hard because at a certain point you can't change people.
Yeah.
No matter how much you try and get them to see your perspective.
Yeah.
It will just go in one ear and out the other. And it's frustrating. But once you accept that you cannot change people, you can move on with your life. And I feel like she's someone who probably will not be as understanding as you hope she would be of your perspective and what happened. So that's a tough situation.
I feel like maybe one way of explaining it to the mother-in-law would be by saying, think about how much you care about your religion and your beliefs, like your beliefs. Think about how much that means to you. This means the same to me. Like, I care about this equally as much as you care about that. And I feel like that's a good way to think of anyone that is vegan or vegetarian or raising their kids as vegan or vegetarian. They care about that as much as this other random person cares about their religion. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you're right. Some people definitely are closed-minded and can't be changed. And I hope that your mother-in-law, for your children's sake, is not one of those people. But considering her actions, it seems like she might be. And I think that your kids are more important than your mother-in-law. So keep prioritizing them.
She's the asshole.
She's the asshole.
Here we go.
I just went on such a tangent, but when I read that story on Reddit, I just immediately thought of our conversation and I was like, wait, this is so interesting to me. Because I feel like that was the first time that our family really talked about that. And it was compared to a religious belief. And I'm just like, yeah, what would be the difference between veganism and kosher? Like raising your kids with one of those things. Like, I feel like I keep repeating myself, but at the end of the day, those two things come with the same goal. Like those people that choose those two beliefs, they really do have the same goal. And it's to raise their kids as good people with morals and serve someone that's not you. So I feel like I'm just trying to be way more open-minded. I was listening to a different podcast about dating recently too, and there was this one story about this girl who started dating this guy, and his ex was very religious to the point where she was like, I want to be a housewife for you and like be submissive and like blah, blah, blah. And they were kind of like laughing about how crazy that sounds. I hate to say someone's crazy because they believe a certain thing, but they were kind of like laughing at first. And then the people on the podcast were like, wait, like, let's not just assume that they're crazy just because they have this belief.
Right.
Like some people just believe other things and that's what they want. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like just because someone is religious in that way or believes that doesn't necessarily mean they're crazy or weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as she's not like, it's not harmful to someone else, then let her do her thing.
Yeah. And I feel like it's very easy to, I guess, judge people for engaging in things that you don't believe. Like, I do feel like when I first became vegetarian, I almost got like disgusted by the thought of meat. And I still kind of do. Like, I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, like not appetizing for me at all. And when I was younger, like because I started when I was in high school, I do feel like I went through a phase where I would be like, how are people not vegetarian? Like, that's disgusting. And like, I could never. And it's like, just because I don't want to eat it doesn't mean nobody else should. And I just think it's important to keep an open mind. So I'm trying to do that. Yeah.
You're doing your best.
Yeah, trying to. Okay, maybe we'll do one more.
Okay.
That episode was very heavy, so let's end with a wholesome story. I thought this was wholesome. Okay. My boyfriend's coming to my place for the first time, and I'm scared that my secret obsession is going to scare him away from me. So I never really tell anyone about my lawn gnome obsession because they make fun of me, usually to my face. I started dating this guy about 3 months ago, and I never really took him to my house. I usually travel to see him because it's more convenient for both of our schedules. Recently, he's been asking to go to my place. He said we've been together too long for him to not see it. I'm terrified because my entire house is filled with lawn gnomes. I feel protected with my gnomies around. And no, I don't have any mental illness that I'm aware of. It's just something about their cute little faces, but they're everywhere. I even set them up in different scenes throughout the house.
Stop.
It makes me feel like I'm in a Disney movie. I can't hide them even if I wanted to. I don't. What should I do? Because he's coming over this weekend and I am freaking out. My heart.
I can't. She sounds like Snow White.
Yeah. You sound so pure.
Yeah, you do.
And I think that if he doesn't like your garden gnome collection, you can dump his ass.
Yeah. If he can't accept this, then may he never know peace in his life. Like...
So true. Never know peace in his life. No, facts. Do you really want a guy that doesn't like garden gnomes?
No.
I wouldn't.
No. Everyone needs a gnome in their life, and you just have many.
Yeah.
It's totally understandable.
I kind of love that she like cared that much about the guy. Like, that's so cute that she really likes him that much. She's like, I really don't want to scare him off.
I know.
I feel like if he really cares about you, even if he doesn't like garden gnomes, even if he hates garden gnomes, he could still accept you.
Yeah.
And you deserve that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You deserve someone who will accept you and your gnomes.
Yeah.
You guys are a package deal, so.
And also,
non-negotiable.
Yeah, if you ever move in with him, won't you want to have the gnomes?
Right.
Wait, what if she like...
They're not going anywhere.
What if she never told him about the gnomes and then everything was perfect in their relationship, but she just left out this one non-negotiable for her? And then by the time they were totally in love, she was like, by the way, I have a gnome obsession. And he's like, I don't like that. It's like, would the gnomes be a deal breaker for him?
Can't imagine. Like,
because if like everything's perfect and they've been dating and then she's like, gnomes, would he be like, done? I can't with the gnomes.
And then people are asking, why did you guys break up? And it's like, it was the gnomes. Like, that's what you have to say to people about why you didn't work out.
Wait,
like,
isn't it also funny to think about the fact that, like, they're 3 months in, like, sure, maybe if he learned about the gnomes now, he would get freaked out. But if you dated for, like, way longer and you were actually in love, doesn't it seem like certain things, like, stop mattering as you get, like, more deep into a relationship? So it would be so funny if, like, now the gnomes were a deal breaker, but then, like, if he learned about them, like, a year in, then he'd be like fine with it. I don't know. Maybe that's
I
not
would
funny.
die though. I just feel like if he knows you well enough and then he finds out about the gnomes a year in, he wouldn't be surprised.
Wait, that's
He'd be
true.
Like, this makes sense.
Have you never brought up gnomes? Like, if they're
Right.
that important to you, how do you go
Right.
3 months without talking
Yeah.
about them? I typically bring up gnomes on the first date, and they're not even
Exactly.
that important to me.
Maybe sometimes even dress up as one. But yes, exactly. Everyone needs to talk about gnomes.
Wait, I have a good transition for you. So, on the last episode, we talked about Romeo and Juliet. The couple called each other Juliet and Romeo because of the girl's obsession with the movie Romeo and Juliet. So maybe you ease into it. You ask if you can come over one more time. You say, oh, do you want to watch a movie? You suggest a lighthearted comedy.
Right.
Romeo and Juliet. Casual.
Yes.
He watches it. You don't have to watch the screen. You can watch him the whole time. How does he react when the first gnome comes on the screen?
Maybe record for later playback as well.
Yes, that's a great idea. Set up a camera.
Yeah.
So you don't gaslight yourself later on into thinking he had a reaction that he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You can analyze his body behavior, or what is it called? Body language.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd say don't be honest. Trick him into figuring out how he feels.
Yes.
Toxic advice.
Go against everything we've said this episode. Trick him.
Trick him now.
Yes.
You need to lock him down before he finds out.
Yeah.
What if you really liked a guy and then you found out that he had garden gnomes all over his house?
It's okay.
It would be like in that episode of iCarly when she really likes that hot guy, but then she goes over his house and it's
Yeah.
filled with Beanie Babies.
That's right. I was like, what was it that he collected? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beanie Babies. That's so
I used to
funny.
think a lot more things were weird than I do now.
Yeah.
Like I would have thought a collection of any kind, probably. Not any kind. I don't know. I used to think that like the garden gnome thing would be weird, but like just because it's not my thing doesn't mean it can't be yours. I support you, and I think that if the guy doesn't love the gnomes as much as you, I feel like you could still make that work though. Because even if you
Yeah.
live together, you could just have like the gnomes in one place in your room, and then he could have a room that's his and there's no gnomes. Like,
Right.
I really feel like this isn't a deal breaker either way, unless he's judgmental.
Yeah. Which we don't need that.
Yeah.
We don't need that at all.
And if that's the case, dump his ass. Just like that.
These gnomes that we're talking about are like, they're like the easiest thing to be a weird collection and to accept. Like at
Yeah.
least they're not scary. You're not
Hopefully.
harming anyone by collecting these gnomes.
Yeah.
They're not like taxidermy or something.
You think taxidermy's weird? I don't want to
No.
shame taxidermy.
No, I don't. I'm just saying that there is a death involved.
Oh, you're right. You're
To
right.
get
Yeah, you're right.
a taxidermy figure.
I'm like, oh, I have a lot of taxidermy items. No, just kidding.
yeah, I know.
I
You're
like
shoot.
rode for taxidermy real hard just now.
No, taxidermy's not weird, but you know.
No, but I see what you mean. It
Yeah.
was a living thing.
Yeah.
It would be like if somebody collected like bones or like teeth.
Right.
Like it did
Yes.
come from a living thing. A gnome is just like a piece of plastic or
A
porcelain
little figurine.
that's like a doll.
Yes, that
Yeah.
someone made.
It's art.
Yeah, it is art.
Yeah.
Maybe even like they handcrafted it.
Yeah.
You know, like you're
Although-
supporting a small business maybe by purchasing it.
Now I'm like, you could make that case for taxidermy and bones. So I'm like, shit.
Oh God.
You know what? If you just want to collect anything, as
Just-
long as you don't hurt anyone,
Yeah.
it's fine. Just do it. Just do it, okay? Just
I don't
collect
know.
something.
But like, what if you collect like chainsaws and then you find that out like later that they're collecting chainsaws? You know what I mean? Like something that could really scare you. I don't know.
Yeah.
If, I don't know if that'd be a deal breaker.
Chainsaws?
I'm just saying, like, comparatively, gnomes compared
Yes.
to something else.
You're right.
Gnomes are so easy to accept
Yes.
because they're just very, like,
They're happy.
unproblematic.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
unproblematic.
That's the word I've been looking
Yes.
for with the whole taxidermy chainsaw.
Not that
Tangent.
chainsaws and taxidermy are inherently problematic.
No, don't come for us. They're not. They're just, compared to gnomes, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys aren't stupid. I'm just, you know.
Yeah, right? No, in the last episode, I was like, and nobody's going to judge me, right? Because
Yeah.
our listeners are kind and
Right.
caring and
Yes.
understanding.
No hate.
Never. Anyway, if my perfect person had a lawn dome collection and that was the only thing wrong, I'd be like, you know what? Nobody's going to be perfect.
Gnome buddy.
I'm not perfect either. Gnome body.
Gnome.
Gnome body is perfect, okay? Including us, no matter how much we seem like we are.
Exactly. I know. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah. Okay. It's going off the rails. That was a good one. Gnomes aren't weird. Case closed. Dismissed. Okay. I love that. It goes from so serious, and I'm just like, you're disrespecting my beliefs. Exactly. And then I'm just like, garden gnomes.
Yeah.
We just cover all of the bases here.
We're just keeping everyone on their toes.
Yes. Never let them know your next move.
Never.
You could also, final thought about the gnomes, text him like a picture of a gnome and just be like, isn't this so cute? And if he's like, yes, you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have a few of them. You'll see them when you come over. Yeah. And then you're like, I know this like might come off as weird, maybe, but I just love these gnomes. Tell him why you love them.
Yeah.
Maybe, I feel like also, if you're passionate about it, you could get him to love the gnomes. Like, he's probably not anti-gnomes.
Right.
Even though maybe he just doesn't know he loves them yet.
Doesn't know that he loves them.
Maybe he doesn't know that he loves them yet. And seeing yours could spark a new passion for him.
He'll be thanking you soon.
Yes, and I'm thanking you.
Yeah.
Gnomes are kind of sick.
They're cute.
Yeah.
They're cute.
Okay. I'm going to get one. Maybe. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Gnome, I'm probably not. But I do always like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never take away from my happiness. They just add to it. So
that's a great point. Yeah. That is a good point.
And with that,
we'll wrap it up. I love the random tangents at the end.
I know.
Because I feel like we've just been talking for so long that then we just become unhinged.
Exactly.
And just I start saying anything.
I know. I was going to start going off about gnomes staring at you, but I was like, let's keep this short. Like, because that could just open a full other tangent. I was like, no.
Okay, I will say one more thing. This might open a full tangent, but when I was little, my parents bought my sister and I these like beautiful dolls that were, I think they were made of porcelain. Mm-hmm. They were like a work of art, like so gorgeous. I just never liked dolls.
Yeah.
And we had them on shelves in our room. And if you were to just like see one anywhere, you'd be like, oh, that's beautiful. Like the little dress it's wearing, it's beautiful work of art, whatever. I hated them. And so did my sister. We thought they were so creepy and scary. And we felt like they were staring at us all night. Yeah. We turned them all around to face the wall. Like they were on like stands. Right. And we turned all of them around to face the wall. And we would sometimes play with them, but we would never put them back on the shelf with the eyes facing down. Right. And I remember one time my aunt came over to babysit us and she's like, why are all the dolls turned around and facing the wall? And we were like, oh, because we think they stare at us. Said it so dead seriously. And she started hysterically laughing. It was so funny. And we were like, don't laugh at us. So if I loved a guy and then I found out he had a lot of dolls, you know what? No, I still think that I could get over it as long as they weren't in my bedroom or like in the living room staring at me all the time. But if he had like a little room that was his for his passion, then I had mine. I'll keep my gnomes over here. You keep your dolls over there. Right. And we live in harmony.
And she sets them up in little scenes. That's so cute. I don't think they're necessarily staring at anyone while they're like watching TV.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, OP.
Don't worry.
Nothing to worry about.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
Probably. I wish you all the best of luck.
Yes.
I feel like all of these OPs just need a friend.
Yeah. That's us.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah. Okay. This ended on a positive note.
Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Yay. Am I the Asshole Family Edition? Killed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. It's always weird going from like yelling to then like wrapping it up and then we just like don't have anything else to say.
Right.
And then we're just like, well, I'll see you later. It's like almost sad ending it because like I don't want you to leave.
I know.
Sad.
It is
We'll just
sad.
have to start doing like 5-hour episodes.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.